So in this particular video, we are going to catch up on what are friend classes, how are they used, and we are also going to catch up on particular functions inside classes which are declared friends of other classes, where the other parts of that class remain not friends. Let me explain. As you've previously realized that sometimes we need to access private and protected variables of classes from outside the member functions, that is the methods of the classes. For example, for monitoring reasons. In those cases, we use friend functions. We've seen this already in the previous videos. Now, apart from having friend functions, we can also have friend classes where all parts of the class can access private and protected variables of another class. Let me explain. Let us first concentrate on this particular class called class 1, which I'm highlighting here. So in this class 1, int var1 is one integer variable, another one is int var2. This one here is protected as it has been indicated. This one here, however, this one is actually a private variable, once again, because it is not mentioned as protected or public. By default it will be private. Now we want to access these two from another class and from a particular function of another class. So first of all, let us see when we want to access this int var1 and int var2 from a particular class. Let us name the class 2, and you see we have made friend class 2. We declared class 2 as a friend. We must now see what class 2 is all about. So let's see. Here it is, class 2. We've got a simple class here, just one constructor. Now inside the constructor, once again, as you can imagine, this is 2, scope resolution 2. The second 2 with open brackets and closed brackets is obviously the constructor, which constructs the object. And the first is a reference to the type, that means the class, which obviously is a user-defined type. And here we have declared an object of the 1 class. We call it object 1. So as usual, object 1's int var1 and int var2 being protected and being private and protected respectively are not accessible outside. For example, inside the main function, if I want to declare an object of 1 called, say, just 1, and we declare this object, that means we create this object, we try to do 1 dot int var 1 equals to 2. Okay, and we try to compile it and run it. You'll see there's a problem here. What is the problem? That it is showing that int var1 is private in this context, and so it cannot be accessed. So similar is the case with int var2, which is actually a protected variable. I'm going to run it once again. It's protected within this context. As you can see, error, it is protected. So you cannot use it as if it was a public variable. For example, what happens with default variables of structures is that they are public and you can very well use them as it is. So now you cannot use them here. So the small exercise that we did, which did not compile, showed us that you cannot really access the int var1 and int var2 of one objects because they are made private and public. That is, you cannot access them directly. That's why you need methods or member functions. So we are doing it first of all using member functions here. So 2 is a friend class. It has been declared as friend in 1. Let me show you that again. See, friend class 2. And that is exactly why, if we, on the other hand, in this method 2, constructor 2, constructor as far as that matter, any other method would work because the entire class is a friend class. We have one obj1, the declaration of a one object, just as we did in main. We declare one object and we try to assign values. Int var1 gets 95, int var2 gets 99. And then we print out the results. So here you can see we have printed out results of obj1 and of obj2. That's rather obj1 dot int var1 and obj1 dot int var2. We've done that using endl at the end as usual. Now what we are doing here, we're declaring a 2 object. Now here you may ask me, what is the cn weight? Well, very easy. We are actually taking a character variable, and where cin means input, as you know. We are inputting something in weight, whatever it is, a dot, a comma, a, b, c, d, whatever, just one character. It's just a character variable. As soon as you've done that, what will happen? Well, as soon as toObject2 constructor is called, something is going to be happening. That is, the printing and etc. will be happening. And after that, it will roll on to the next bit of the program. But when we are doing this, wait, that means it will wait for an input to come in. It's very similar to using getch in C. So let us just first run this. So once again, just remember that object 1 has, well, int-var 1 and int-var 2 are both protected and private, so otherwise it is not accessible, as we've seen in main. Let's see this if it is accessible from 2. There. Private obj1 int-var equals to 95, protected obj1 int-var equals to 99, as you've seen. This is what was shown there. This is what it is supposed to be. Now, so we go back to the program. Let me go to the next part. Now, we look at the second part where we don't want the entire class to be a friend. We just want only one class to be a friend. And that is in this class here, another class we have named class 3. We want to use this method use1. The name suggests it uses a one object. If you want to make use of that for declaring and utilizing whatever you want, a one object. And this is how we've written it. So see, look at what we've done here. First of all, we have declared class 3 before class 1. It's very important. Even if you do not fully define class 3 here, at least one description should be there, because you are going to use 3 here. If 3 has not been declared or 3 has not been defined before, it will be problematic. It will be problematic. So basically, you just want to do that. Declare 3 here. Then there is class 1, where we are declaring not the class 3 but the void method use1, which belongs to class 3. Okay, once again, the void method, that means the void returning method, which doesn't return anything other than void, called use1, which belongs to class 3. We're using that as a friend. And this is how you write it. So you first declare it, then you declare it as friend inside class 1. So if there is any other method inside of 3, it won't be able to access, but use1 will be able to access. Now what is use1? A very simple method, just because it is just being shown to you. So it's a very simple method. It's a one ref. It's a one ref. It's a object, and I'm setting the 2 variables here. See, int-var 1 is actually private. This one here. is actually private to one ref. It should not be accessed from outside, but because use1 of 3 has been declared as a friend in class 1, here, right here, you can see here. So that is exactly why I can assign 115 with var 1 and 151 with var 2. So, and then we are printing out whatever we have assigned, like this here. Okay, so that's one ref dot invar 1, and that's one ref. One ref is the object of 1 that has been created in use1. Now what am I doing in the constructor? In the constructor I am creating an object of one ref, object of 1 called one ref, and I am calling the use1 function. Now this is a bit redundant. You can obviously omit, and I've used this. If I need to use this program, extend this further, you can omit it for the time being. So in the default constructor of 3 class, I'm just now calling use1, and the use1 I will have one ref. This will be set, although these are private and protected variables, but because one ref is a friend function, it will be successfully done. That is, the assignment will be successfully done. It will be printed out. This is my belief. How am I extending it in main? How am I using it? I am just calling object 3. I'm declaring an object. As you know, when you declare this object 3, its default constructor is called default constructor being this, and immediately as soon as the object is created, also the use1 will be called. So if I run this, see, this is for the first one, obj1, and this is the second one, the second set of printf statements that we have there. So private one ref invar 1 equals to, this is for the use1. The previous one here was from the class 2. This one is actually from the class 3. Second pair of sentences are from class 3. So obviously you can imagine that we can make just functions as friend functions. We can make an entire class as friend, where the private and protected will still be available, and we can also make a particular method of a class. Once again, what are method? Method are functions declared within the scope of a class. Those are methods. So obviously you can imagine that we can also use a particular method inside a class as a friend function, okay, so that private and protected variables can be accessed. You might say, Sir, why do we need friend functions? As I said, sometimes for monitoring purposes, for example, you might need it. However, friend functions should not be used too much, because you see, on the one hand you're using protected and private, and on the one hand you're using, and on the other hand you're using friend functions, which basically obviously are not part of the, they're not part of the classes themselves. That is exactly why they have to be declared friends. So if you use friend functions too much, definitely the idea of data hiding somewhat is compromised. Okay, because in any case you are able to access it from outside, which is, that is, you can access it from outside without any check, without any rules. Just by using the dot operator you can do that. So obviously privacy is going to be jeopardized and compromised. Okay, what happened here, for example, protected and private variables, but from 3 there's use 1. Okay, and you can use it inside this function as you would inside the class 1 itself. Now if, imagine I use this particular function use1 to access the protected and private variables of one ref. That means the object of the one class that we've declared here. If we just take that and create a result or input a result which is totally out of the blue, okay, we are basically free to do that, and it won't be very useful to our data hiding capabilities, which are there so that they regulate the access to variables. So as all of the books would tell you, and the resources that are available on the net, so I would tell you myself as well that friend functions are good when it comes to practice, etc. Obviously you can use friend functions as much as you want, but when it comes to projects or other programs, try to limit the use of friend functions, friend classes, and friend functions within classes. Okay, so with this, I'd like to end this video. Thank you very much for listening.